Hey everybody, welcome to Squatch Talk. I'm Pat, and this is my wood knock encounter. Let's do this. All right, so basically it was a beautiful October day, the first or second week in October of 2016. I came out here with a friend, I was female, and to go camping on private property. And some weird stuff kind of happened, and that led to a what you might say in the Bigfoot world is a wood knock encounter. But yeah, October 2016, right here at this campsite, which I haven't been to in years, and a giant pine tree fell about 20 feet away from where my tent would have been. So that would have been a fun night to be out here for that. Anyway, so we come out here. It's a beautiful, gorgeous fall October day, dry air, cooler temps coming out of a outrageously hot Georgia summer, and came out like early afternoon to get set up and everything. And so we were right here getting everything set up. The first thing that was sort of a head scratcher to me was there's a creek crossing to get to the campsite, which now is uncrossable. The trees have been too worn down. One of them's missing, but used to be able to walk over the creek, you know, in the middle of the night. But we have to cross over the creek with supplies, and I came over first, had the first supplies. The first thing I noticed was a weird bedding area, where the high grass, a little bit of high grass near the creek. There's not much, but what there was of it was all bedded down, and that struck me as odd. I took a picture of it. Hopefully I can find it and roll it in. But that was the first thing that happened that was very strange to me, because I've never seen a deer on this property. Deer are way different out here. They're not prolific like they are near the cities. I mean, this is out in the mountains, man. This is out in some pretty rural stuff here. So the deer are wild, really wild. But I just couldn't begin to wrap my head around 12, 15, 20 deer that had bed down right there. So I thought it was odd, because we never see deer. They are around, but again, not like in Gainesville, man. You can almost walk up and pet them, and they're just prolific because they're not hunted. And out here they are. So I don't know. I remember scratching my head about it and thinking, what the hell? I'm not implying that Bigfoot slept there, but it was a big area. Again, it was enough of a surface area, 15 deer, easily, maybe more. So that was weird. So we get set up and start getting things ready, putting the tent up, all that good stuff. And at some point, I talked to Ernie. So my buddy Ernie, and my co-host on Squatch Talk, or used to be and still is sometimes, his cabin is, I mean, I could pretty much see it through the canopy that's starting to thin out. Maybe 100 yards, maybe in some change, 120 to 140 yards over this way. And he wasn't there, but he was going to be joining us later. But he wasn't there at the time, but he told me he had some firewood outside his cabin that I could grab and burn because it was pine or something that he didn't want in his wood stove. So I left her here and I just went across the creek and over to Ernie's cabin to grab that firewood to have as extra firewood. And while I'm over there, right by the cabin, I hear like this retarded owl sound. Like it sounded like a monkey-ish. It was one of those that sounds like a monkey, like monkey-ish. You know, it wasn't like an all-out, you know, familiar chimpanzee thing or spider monkey vocal. It just sounded monkey-ish, and I was thinking, is that an owl? And it was coming from over this direction, and so I was hearing it over at the cabin, like I said, 120 or more yards away, and it was coming from over here. And so she was right in the middle. And, you know, I heard it more than once. And it was weird enough for me to pause and turn around and look in the direction and listen more. And I don't know, I probably heard it for, you know, several times for 20 or 30 seconds. It was more than once. The first time I heard it, it caught my attention. I stopped and listened, and I heard it again a few more times at least. So, okay, again, like weird, but not alarming. You know, I don't know. I'm not an expert on owl vocalizations. I know more now than I did then, but it was enough for me to grab the wood and come back, and the first thing I asked her was, "Did you hear that?" I swear to God. I mean, if this wasn't verbatim what she said, it's in the ballpark. She said, "Oh, you mean the monkey?" I'm like, "Yeah. I think you were closer to it. You thought it sounded like a monkey?" She said, "Yep. Sounded like a monkey." And that, I'm like, no way. Like, and honestly, I dropped it. I was just in the whatever thing, man. Like, whatever. Let's camp, you know. Let's have fun, you know. Let's build a fire. Let's cook some dinner. And so that's what we did. The day progressed into the evening. Had a great fire going. You know, cooked some food. Ernie showed up. We all hung out. I was drinking. I mean, it was like, again, it was a beautiful fall weekend. And man, I was ready to just relax and have some fun out in the woods. It had been a minute. Because I only camp really fall through early spring. I'm not a summer camper. So at that point in the fall, it's like I haven't camped for a while, usually. So that's what we did. We had fun, enjoyed ourselves. There was nothing going on. There was nothing alarming. I didn't even hear any coyotes that night. I don't remember hearing any coyotes that night. We were just having fun. So, Ernie ends up leaving, say our goodbyes. He goes back to the cabin, and we're just hanging out, and then decide, you know, after a little while, decided to hit the hay. I was definitely feeling it. Like camping wears me out. I think primitive camping, you know, can wear anybody out. And and of course I've been drinking, and that's it's one of the caveats, is that yes, I was pretty drunk, you would say. I mean, I wasn't like super sloppy drunk or anything like that, But I mean, I was definitely feeling the effects of alcohol and exhaustion. 100%. So, so that, that was my condition when all this went down. And at some point, and my memory may fail me a little bit, but at some point I started goofing around. So my female friend knew that I was like into Bigfoot. Like I, you know, listened to chronicles and enjoyed Bigfoot stories, and I was, you know, this was pre-podcast, so I hadn't started Squatch Talk yet. Um, so, but I was, following Bigfoot stuff, and she knew that, and she was accepting of it. She thought it was kind of interesting. Thought there might be something to it. One of those open-minded tour, but just putting her little foot in to say, there's something to that, right? And so I decided, I think the way I recall it in my head was I was just being goofy and a little bit drunk, and I picked up a good, healthy fucking stick, and I started banging on a tree. And I was thinking in my head, well, maybe Ernie will hear it. He'll know it's me. We don't hoax each other. That's a hard rule. But in my mind, I was like, he'll just think I'm goofing around, because I am. That's what I was doing. I was just goofing around, being stupid about it, like ha ha ha, and I don't know, maybe I clacked a rock or something too. Like I don't know, but I know I was being goofy doing that and just kind of laughing about it, and so that did happen in between the time Ernie left and when we got in the tent. So eventually, yep, so time to call it quits, get in the tent, fire's dying down naturally, it's good. And zip, in the tent, boom, head hits pillow. And I don't know exactly how much time went by, but it wasn't long. Probably somewhere in the ballpark of a minute or two. I'm almost sure it was under 5 minutes. Certainly under 10 minutes. The first knock happened. Shot. What? And I stupid question. I asked the stupid question. I said, "Did you hear that?" Yeah. And I'm like, okay, so I'm brushing that one away in my head. I'm like, okay, it's just one knock. Like, it's kind of weird. It's definitely got my attention. And then, boom, another one. Okay, that's two. Now, all I could do is lay here and listen for more. And they kept coming. Now, they were separated. It was never like, there was never a conk or a double knock. I don't remember any double knocks. They were all single knocks coming from this direction, and I'll kind of show some of that as best I can. About, it sounded like, I mean, hell, it could have been up the hill here. It's hard to tell. To me, it's just somewhere over there. Maybe 50 yards away, maybe closer. And they were happening in some kind of intervals that, maybe a couple of minutes, maybe 30 seconds apart at times, but it was many. And it just kept happening. And so at this point, once we get to wood knock 3 or 4, whatever it was, man, I was like, oh my God, this can't be happening. This is not real. You've got to be kidding me. So Ernie's cabin's that way. These wood knocks are coming from over here somewhere. And I just can't wrap my head around it. I couldn't at the time. So eventually, this would go on for half an hour. So just throwing that out there, that this is roughly a half an hour event of fairly regular wood knocking going on over that half an hour time span. So once I realized that, you know, like this wood knock thing is happening to me, what happened, my reaction to it, I still do not understand to this day. Like, I just don't. I don't get my reaction to it. You know, maybe Leon could help me figure that out. But I've been camping here before. And I call this place Camp Apache for a reason. Because it's my safety, it's a safe place, you know? It's Camp Apache, like Fort Apache. Like, you know, nothing can happen to us here, man. You know, we always have guns. I mean, we have good lights, we have good gear. We don't mess around when it comes to any potential trespassing on the property, that's for sure. If we hear a gunshot, and by the way, this property is like almost 100 acres, okay? And the vast majority of it is what you see around me and what you'll probably see more of as the video goes on. I'll be rolling stuff in. Is just woods. Is the majority of that acreage. We've heard gunshots, so we thought, is that on the property? Ernie and I? And we run towards it. We run towards that sound, not away. So that we take our security here very seriously, and also with animals. We don't take any shit from animals. One time I had a coyote. I heard them they're out in the field that's nearby, flushing rabbits, and we heard them that night. And then as I'm going to bed, this is a different time. It was just me and Ernie here camping. I'm going to bed. The fires died down, you know, and some time had went by since we had been in bed, and a coyote comes like right up on me and starts hooting and hollering. I'm not kidding. 40 feet away from my tent. And I mean, in a split second, I was out of that tent with my gun in my hand, and my gun and my light, my, you know, million candle powered spotlight. And I mean, I was gonna blow that thing away. I was so mad that a coyote like came up into camp or close to camp. So that's how I act. I mean, that's me. That's me. And so now I'm having this wood knock experience that I can't believe is happening to me. And I've got my rifle with a 30 round mag, 5.56, green tips in it. And I've got my big spotlight, you know. And I get out of the tent without taking either one of those things with me. And I still don't know why. And at the time, I mean, none of this, I wasn't thinking about that either. Actually took me some time to realize after the fact that, why didn't I take my gun with me? But the reason why I had to get out of the tent, the reason I got out of the damn tent was, I mean, you know, I I'd relieved myself before. I'd urinated before I went to bed, like I always do when I go camping. And still wake up in the morning having to go, like really bad. But of course, I relieved myself, you know, minutes before this. And I got out of the tent. I basically urinated around it, almost on it, probably on it a little bit. I'm like, I don't know where it came. Like, I just used the bathroom, however many minutes earlier, and here I am, basically peeing around the tent, and also hugging. Like, I'm sorry, this is a little. It might be a little awkward. It should be embarrassing, but I'm not embarrassed by it actually. I mean, I was hugging the tent. Like, I didn't want to get far away from the tent. I almost wanted to keep one leg in the damn tent. I don't know why. This is just what I remember feeling. So I urinate around part of the tent, as much of it as I could. And by the way, it was urgent. Like, I really had to go. It was like fucking weird, man. So I do that. And then I get back in the tent. And, and I'm just laying there. And this keeps happening. And eventually I fall asleep to it. So within that half an hour event, somewhere in there, probably around the 15 or 20 minute mark ish, eventually I said, screw it. I'm just too exhausted. And I was. And I had been drinking and I was exhausted. And eventually I just said, screw it, man. And I passed out. My female friend did not. So now I'm passed out and she's just laying there going, what the fuck is happening right now? Like, what is this? And she has her own side of the story. I do have some audio. She talks about it after the fact, maybe a week later, which I may or may not roll in. I don't know. And so she's stuck there in the tent with me, useless me. And, even though Ernie's not too far if we need him, but at this point, I'm useless. I'm just out. And the wood knocks are still going. And that's how I know how long the knocks kept happening is because she stayed awake and was able to tell me that even after I went to sleep, that it still kept happening. It never seemed to change direction, so it wasn't like it was coming from over here and then over there, or then a new one from a different direction. No, like, it wasn't doing that. It just seemed like in the same distance and spot. It's pretty consistent as far as distance, which makes you think, well, what kind of natural thing could be happening? It was the exact same kind of day that I have here, and you can see behind me, man, there's not, like, almost zero movement. The wind, like no wind. So, it wasn't anything like that going on. It's a gorgeous day, dry air. But so she got to sit there and listen to it until, finally it stopped, or she didn't hear it anymore. She felt comfortable enough to go to sleep. Eventually, she just went to sleep. Also had my dog with me, Minnie, which is a little Chihuahua mix, a little 12-pound Chihuahua mix. She seemed unaffected. Like, so nothing, I had nothing strange out of the dog on that. Just side note. She was with me. didn't seem to be affected by it. So she goes to sleep, and then, yeah, so, I mean, I don't know. The next day, man, we're talking about it immediately. And I just couldn't believe it. And I was like, that happened. Like, I was freaked out a little bit. I'm like, I can't believe a wood knock event happened here. And also, on a side note, Ernie and I, 2 or 3 years before 2016, when the wood knock happened, 2 or 3 years before that, Ernie and I were out here camping and heard a just horrific scream that I can't explain from over in that direction. I've talked about the scream on air before. It was long, 20, 30-second scream, and doesn't match any known animal that I've been able to find in this region, much less area. So that was weird to me, but then the wood knock thing is like, what the hell is going on here? Now, I am in a county that is, pretty much the most Bigfoot documented encounters have happened in this county. Not just this county, but within a 10 square mile area of here. I mean, there's some that have happened along the same creek that borders this property, just a little further down. So, I mean, people see them around here, but I never thought in a million years that, like, they're not gonna be here. And I'm not saying that, this wood knock thing was a Bigfoot, because I never saw it. So I'm not trying to, like, over sensationalize anything. I'm just telling what happened. Sorry. Edit that out, Tim. Can we edit that? Okay. I'm just telling you what happened to me and what I was thinking. And so I'm just being honest about what happened. And like I said, I never saw it because my dumbass decided not to take a pretty powerful spotlight with me. And so I don't know what it was, but it certainly matches up with, what other people have reported. So it is what it is, and it happened to me. So the next day, we're definitely talking about it, and I get Ernie over here, and I couldn't wait to tell him. I was like, dude, you're not gonna believe what happened last night. Wood knocks, man. Like, I told him the whole thing. He was kind of surprised, because he lives here, man. He didn't really want to think that, they might come around. And by the way, he's like, so what was this, 6 years ago? And he's been living here longer than 2016. A couple years longer than that. He's never had any Bigfoot stuff happen here at the cabin, like, ever. So, which is good. You don't want, like, he lives out here alone, man, like, by himself. You don't, want Bigfoot activity. Like, you people that want that crap, man, you're nuts to me. If you're somebody that would enjoy having Bigfoot activity around your house, I can't wrap my head around that. I mean, that also, I wasn't out here looking for Bigfoot. I didn't have Bigfoot on the brain, even though I was goofing around about it. Yeah, sure. We may have even talked to a little Bigfoot that night around the campfire, but I don't come out here to look for Bigfoot or get activity. I just want to have fun and be recreational in the woods, man, and forget about the modern world for a minute, So that's my motivation. And but that's pretty much it, man. Couple of head scratchers leading up to this wood knock thing, and again, I can't say it was related. All I'm saying is that's how my day unfolded. And that's pretty much all of it. So I'll leave it at that. And, you know, thanks for listening. Thanks for hearing me out on that. That's pretty much the full story of what happened that day, and how I remember it and how I felt about it. So there it is. Do what you want with it. I'm going to take some more footage and get out of here before it gets dark. All right. See ya. So yeah, I forgot to tell you guys the story, the story of the mystery chair, which is what I decided to sit in for this video. If I can, I don't know if I can flip this around. I don't think I can. Right, so the guy that owns this property, and Ernie, about 30 years ago, found this chair over here in the Camp Apache area. They found it here. Nobody knows what the deal with it is. It was sitting here with these handcuffs attached to it. So, yeah. Weird, huh? Nobody knows. That was about 30 years ago. And no one has a clue what that's all about. And it's been sitting here ever since. And I was just sitting in it to film that. So yeah, the mystery chair. Who knows? It's freaking weird, man. Weird. So, hey, just wanted to say real quick, for anybody who's new to the channel, or just now discovering this channel because of this video, you know, thanks for watching. But yeah, if you're new or newer, then, you know, please check out the channel. You know, we try and keep it real, just so check it out and see, you know, you might dig what's going on. We have some pretty good discussions. We try and keep it real. This is an honest channel. Don't do anything too sensational, and I don't really make a lot of content. I'm mostly a podcast type show with guests and panels and all that good stuff. So, but if you can, if you like what you see, then like and subscribe, and I'm more than happy to have you here. Everyone's opinion is welcome, as long as you don't talk shit. But everyone's opinion is welcome here at Squatch Talk. So just wanted to throw that in there. Thanks for watching, guys.